You know what? I want to know how she gets that gig because, you know, the biggest sportsman in the world, Brian and I, and she ends up out there. How's that?
I already said I was jealous.
Yeah,
jealous
it's
to be out there.
You know, you think about it, it's an easy job, but it's not easy when you don't get to do stuff like that. How's that? Okay, there we go.
So we're out in the garden.
Yeah.
The weather's perfect.
It is perfect. Right, let's look at the garden here for a second. Just, Bob, sweep down through it. Bob's our illustrious garden cameraman, been with me for a long time.
What are we putting in right now?
You know, you are putting in a lot of those tomatoes, eggplants, anything that produces fruit, your squashes, your different types of watermelon, your different types of corn, and all those need to go in right now because we're planting, and we're planting in fairly what we call cool nights, warm days. This is a perfect situation. And of course, a lot of those peppers.
What happens if we don't get this stuff in fairly quickly?
What happens is we don't get the root system, and not getting that root system, that's the first thing to grow. So when you're looking at a lot of this stuff, this tomato, for instance, when you're looking at this, we don't worry too much about growth right now. We're worried about getting those roots and getting them out there very quickly. That's going to create the sustainability, especially for real hot weather. So getting those in, getting the right type of fertilizer down, and you're going to be in real good shape. And speaking of fertilizer, come on over here, Ryan. Let's talk about the specialty type fertilizers that we use out here in the garden. Epsom salts, they go on roses and they work out fantastic on a little bit of tomatoes. It doesn't take much. You don't need much more than just a small dab of it, but it works out fantastic. Just throw it on, what we call is just side dress the actual plant itself. So when we're side dressing, let's go on over here.
Okay, so don't just spray it with your hand. All right.
We side dress on the outside of the root system itself. So right where the roots are going to start reaching. So that's where the feeder roots are. That's where we're going to fertilize. And that goes for anything out there that we're fertilizing. We're fertilizing right now. This is our first fertilizing period, and what we're looking at is right now.
Do you want to work it in? Do you have to? Or does
you don't necessarily have to work in the Epsom salts. There is something you do need to work in, and that's your bone meal. In fact, bone meals are high in phosphorus, so you're growing a lot of root crops or a lot of flowers. This is something that's going to be crucial, and what you want to do is you want to get that in and you want to get it worked down. Phosphorus has a tendency to bind in our high pH soil. So the lower the pH, the more it's going to travel and the better off you're going to be. And then, of course, your blood meals for all your leafy type crops. We're trying to get a lot of growth on a lot of these plant material. If you're growing tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, this growth is going to protect that fruit later on. And by growing a lot of that growth, you're not going to get a whole lot of sun penetration, and that's going to really create nice fruit.
Can you take all of those, just make one little mixture together, and then spread it around and work it all in together?
Great question. You know, a lot of it's in our actual fertilizers and a lot of other type fertilizers, so it's really already blended together. I mean, when you're looking at a tomato fertilizer, you want to look at the mycorrhizae and you want to look at the calcium. You see this calcium, and calcium is real important. Why? Calcium is really going to prevent that blossom end rot on a lot of our different types of plants, especially our tomatoes. So you want to make sure you're getting the right type of fertilizer. Some people say, well, the plant can't read. I guarantee you, when the plant's reaching out there and you see the certain types of problems we have out here in the desert Southwest, you want to definitely stay as organic as possible and using the right type of fertilizer. So when you're looking at this stuff, it's real important. How much time have we had? I haven't been listening.
Not much time.
Okay, here you go. One last thing. Queen palms, you want a high manganese is real important. And of course, your citrus, you want to go ahead with a high type nitrogen.
Put all that in now.
Put it in. Put it in right now, folks. And it's real important that we get that fertilizer done right now. And again, Memorial Day and, of course, Labor Day.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Welcome back, everybody. Our first caller is Carol. Good morning, Carol.
Carol, good morning. What's going on, girl?
Good morning. Yes, we have a lemon tree that is outrageously wild, tall, sprawly. Like, we have to trim this thing. When is the best time of year to do that?
You know what? Right now, you want to hedge it. You do not want to trim. And when I say to basically hedge anything you can't cut off with hedge trimmers, and Ryan's looking around with hedge trimmers.
See what is an idea.
And the problem is people get in and citrus trees especially, and they over prune. And invariably, we talk about this all the time, you end up with all kinds of problems. So do not prune citrus trees. If anything, you're going to hedge it.
When you say hedge, you're talking about taking off kind of the outside edges just to control it a little bit, right?
We're not getting in there and actually taking off large branches. If you do, folks, you're going to end up with a tree not only diseased, but possibly the demise of the tree itself. So make sure you just hedge it, and you're going to be in real good shape. And like I said, one lemon tree per neighborhood, that's the ideal situation out here in the desert Southwest. Yeah,
they produce. A lot of lemons. Yeah, they do.
Produce, and they produce by various. Yeah.
Iona, good morning.
Iona?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering how important is dolomite to the soil?
Well, you know what? It's not that important. I'll tell you what's really important. You use what we call rock dust in the soil, and it's going to take care of that whole gamut of different types of what we call trace elements there in the soil. So going out and getting some type of rock dust, we do it on our gardens out here, and we do it every spring about right now, and it's real important that you get out there and do it. Summer Winds has some of our stuff. I don't know if I've got any else. And you know, we talked about it. It's basically a chelated type of dust, and it's not out here right now. I didn't bring it out, but it is sold at a lot of nurseries here in town, and we have had phenomenal results. Well, basically, the results in the garden speak for themselves.
That's that gray dust you throw out.
That's right. We've talked about it. We've had it on air, and I just finished doing our garden up north in Payson. So it's real important you get it in, get it worked in, and you'll find that your trace element count will go way up, and you won't have any problems.
Gotcha. Okay. Cynthia.
Cynthia, what's going on?
Yes, hi.
Yes, ma'am.
Something is eating the leaves off of my collard greens.
Yeah, more than likely, you've got some kind of caterpillar. You need to use something like a dipel or a thuricide. And I know that it's Bacillus thuringiensis, and it's really sold, and it's a lot of different types of nurseries. You've got to get a fresh batch of it, because one of the problems we have out here is it does have a shelf life. And if you look on there and try to make sure that you're getting this year's, not last year's, but it works out fantastic. But you've got some kind of looper or caterpillar in the soil itself. Work in the soil itself and spraying that, and you'll clear it all up. We've got some on our bok choy over here right now, and I've got to get the BT out and get it sprayed right now. It's all natural, won't hurt anything. Except for the caterpillar itself.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you as always.
Next week.
Hey, by the way, your poinsettias look amazing.
Isn't it amazing? Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
More Good Morning Arizona coming up after the break.